an enlightening conversation where technology meets sustainability in infrastructure development. I'm Tony T, founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. What we do is we're spreading awareness about renewables energy in Africa and across the world. If you are a developer, if you are an EPC, if you are a supplier, if you are an investor, and you're looking to tap into Africa or to expand into this beautiful continent, definitely do reach out to us and I can show you how we can 10x your return on investment. Okay, today I'm joined by a very young woman, very talented from VIDA. And who is VIDA? She's going to tell us everything about it. But they are a trailblazer in efficient site selection. There's many other things that they are doing, right? So I'm just going to give her a chance to explain it so that we can do proper justice to the formidable product that they're having. And we're going to be diving in how. So VIDA, it's revolutionizing actually this space. Yes, making your investment smarter, safer, but also more sustainable, right? So I'd like you to prepare for a lot of insight that you're going to be getting, and it promises to change the way you'll be approaching infrastructure investment forever. So let me welcome into this platform Nicole. So Nicole, are you? Oh, you're here. Hello, Nicole. Can you hear me?
Hi. I loved your introduction. Thank you.
Excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
I'm here, and I hope my connection is going to be good. Because I'm based in Nairobi, so
No problem. So far is great. So I'm hoping that to stay the same.
good,
So and
good.
hopefully your day has been good so far. But I promise you we're gonna spend some good time together as well. So Nicole, as I say, so I didn't want to say too much about Vida because I have you here to tell us everything about it as much as you can, obviously. But before we dive into that, so I like maybe to take a step back and look at your own career, right? Because I think it's a young career, but it's already reaching different, I would say, development, right? So, what kind of inspire you to focus on sustainable site selection and development? So, how did you get and end up where you are at the moment?
Thank you, Tony. Um, yeah, so really dedicated my entire career to energy access, and I started at one of the multilateral development banks. I was in Washington D.C. working for the World Bank, and then in energy access, and then decided to move to Nairobi to join the private sector in a solar home system company. Then I joined a mini grid company, and then finally VIDA. So I really wanted to understand more broadly what were the challenges and how to tackle them for all of the different energy delivery systems. And so that's why from solar home systems to mini grids. And of course, there are different types of challenges, but definitely site selection was a common thread across all of these. Because if you are a solar home system distributor or a mini grid developer, you will want to choose your site very wisely because you
Mhm.
are investing. Once you get to that site, you've already invested money in that. Of course, when you are a solar home system distributor, the money you invested, even if you start distributing a couple solar home systems, is not that bad. Okay, if you miss the site selection stage and it didn't go well, worst case scenario, you've distributed a couple solar home systems and you leave. Now, when you're a mini grid developer and you already started building your mini grid, there's a massive investment there that you have already done. So if you choose the wrong site, that's problematic. And so yeah, that's where I understood really that site selection was crucial. I remember when I was working for the mini grid company, talking to colleagues in the back of trucks far away in very rural areas, trying to find these sites. And they didn't know how long it would take because you were wandering in these areas. You wouldn't know where you were going. You were offline for some time. And so it's not really even just risky, it's also time taking and costly for the company. And so
Yes.
that's really one of the reasons, absolutely, that I joined VIDA, to optimize this activity.
and you seem to be doing great. That's what I can say. So it's fair to say that Vida, it's from what I've seen. Obviously, you're gonna show us a little demo, so I can say that people are ready.
Mhm.
But I know Vida is not the only tool in this area
Mhm.
looking to make some improvement. But I'd like you to tell us a little bit more. So, what is actually setting Vida apart, in the market when it comes to identifying but also monitoring those climate risk for site selection? Why should people look at you? And sorry for putting that question bluntly, but I get a lot of people reaching out to me. I have, a game changer for Africa, for the rest of the world. I have this. I can tell you on a daily
Yeah.
basis that what I'm getting. So the
Yeah.
question is, why you? Why not somebody else? So yeah, what makes you stand apart?
Yeah. Um, so sometimes I just bluntly respond, well, ask our clients. But in this case, definitely I will answer your question. Um, so that what I've seen in the sector, because as you said, there are so many out there. What I've seen in the sector, the main difference is that with VIDA, we have this algorithm that was developed in-house. Do not ask me the technicalities around this because I don't know, but there's a way that our wonderful product team and our data solutions team identify every single settlement in a country. And so the main difference is that with VIDA, you don't have to know where to go.
Mm,
You will be delivered all of the possible settlements that you have in a country. So we identify hundreds of thousands of settlements, and you can, as you said, I'll show you later, but you can then filter them down based on your needs. And so that's why VIDA was mainly born in the energy sector, but then we are now branching out in other sectors because the data sets that you get at a country level, at a portfolio level, and at a settlement level are the same that you need across different types of investments and infrastructure investments. And so when you have these settlements, then you also get settlement. You get data at a settlement level. So you have specific data sets per each settlement. And I believe this is really what sets VIDA apart. Because we many other different softwares gather the data, have them all in there, but VIDA is the only one that gathers all of the settlements in a tree.
okay, excellent. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Because I can see, yeah, you can carry on. I think,
Okay.
uh, because I thought you were cut a little bit. So, have you finished your answer, or do you
I
still?
have. I
Okay,
have.
excellent. So I wasn't sure. Excellent. Thanks for that, for telling us how obviously you are standing apart compared to, let's say, the competition. And I know as well that Vida will leverage technology, right? I think a lot of people these days would do it. In fact, I would even go further and say, if you are a company and you're not leveraging technology these days, I think you're a little bit at risk of, losing out compared to your competitors. But how does Vida leverage technology to reduce cost and project risk? Why speeding up as well site selection? Because you seem to be saying that, so you have an effective way of doing it. So I like to find out how, and maybe, so as you respond, so maybe it may be good as well just to do a little demo, because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
even better for people to see so how
Mm-hmm.
it works and then get to understand. So if that, by the way, before you do that, let me also say that you can see there's a lot of people watching us live. So thank you very much for doing that. We're very grateful. So don't hesitate, please, to send your questions.
Yeah.
So either as a comment box there, so and I will take it and share with Nicole, so she will respond to that, or you can send that as well to my inbox. But it's probably better maybe to share that as a comment so everybody could see, and then we're gonna take further. I've already received a couple of questions in my inbox that I'm gonna be sharing in a minute. But just want to say, people listening to us, thank you. But please ask a question. So back to you, Nicole. So was asking you, how do you leverage technology, and maybe if you can run a little demo so that we can see what we're talking about. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to do demo first and or respond first, or how do we do that?
I can just do it at the same time in the sense that
Okay.
by showing you, I can show you how I can answer your question. At VIDA, we rarely share our pitch deck because the software Showing the software is so much more explicative. So let's try and share my screen.
Okay,
It,
excellent. That's fine. Let me just do that now. Yes, and I'm just going to be on backstage and I'll let you run the show.
Okay, perfect. So as I said before, VIDA was developed, the software was mainly developed in energy infrastructure, and now we are moving also into other sectors. The workspace I chose here is specifically for tailored to what we're talking about today. So this is for specifically for mini grids. We and all of the data that you see in here is being also constantly updated, because we want our users to access the software and have the most up-to-date data in order for them to take decisions that are data driven and that are up to date. We don't want this to be a screenshot in time, rather a as I said, an updated tool that they can use. Now, how VIDA works is that, as I was saying before, it identifies all of the locations that you see here. Our algorithm identified about 55,000 settlements in Madagascar. That means that through identifying all of the buildings, then it clusters the buildings together and it overlays them to specific locations. So here you have all of those locations. And as I was saying before, the interesting thing is that you don't have to know where to go, in the sense that you don't have to look into a map and then look for the perfect location. You already have them, all of them here. And what you can do, you can filter them down based on your main elements that you give most importance to. Probably this, I was doing actually a demo to a mini grid developer. Most probably you're interested in the number of buildings. So here we have categorizations of how big the settlement is. And so we selected medium, large, and very large. Then then you have the settlement, so this is satellite information, whether the settlement shows night light. And so you would select no, because in this case, then you want to build a mini grid. So you want no night light. We have selected the distance to existing transmission line to be far and very far, and the distance to planned transmission line to be far and very far as well. You can continue even selecting more. If for you, for example, having main road access, which is usually tarmac access, then you can select yes or no. Now, once you have filtered down the locations, you can either select one, or you can go into the portfolio analysis, because when you're a mini grid developer, you're also interested in bringing your in actually creating a portfolio of mini grids that are viable economically, that you can present to your investor, for example, or to anyone, any stakeholder that you have amongst your stakeholders. And so here you have a preliminary mini grid analysis from a portfolio level. So you have the number of mini grid sites, the number of potential connections, the average number of connections per site, the viability characteristics, total demand, demand per connection. And again, all of these were estimations based on the numbers that were shared with the user of this workspace in particular. Because usually how we do this is there are some information that VIDA provides and some information that we can add to the platform, to the software, based on some customization that the user wants. And then finally, you have the financial calculations. Now, let's go back and try to select one of the settlements that came out of this filtering that we did. So if we select one, then it drills down on that single settlement. I hope you're still, I'm still there with you. The settlement statistics that you see here, the main, I would say, interest for a potential mini-grid developer are the number of buildings, which VIDA automatically dissects in large, medium, and small buildings, because of course you want to know as a mini-grid developer how big of a load that building would be. And so we proxy and we say that usually large buildings in rural areas are commercial buildings. Then we have the accessibility, because of course as a mini grid developer you want to make sure that you can bring in your components, and you don't want your components to arrive to the settlement completely broken. And so do you have a main road access? How far is the nearest hub? And maybe that hub, you know, it has an airport or it has a port. Then socioeconomic indicators give you an idea of whether you have a bit of higher loads. You have even the relative wealth index. And every time you hover over each indicator, you will get the source as well as the date of that source, of that data set. Then this is security data. So you want to make sure that whenever you invest in a settlement, you will not have security issues, right? Because you don't want them to be, you don't want your infrastructure to be destroyed by some riots or battles. And finally, the agricultural indicators, which give you an idea of the dominant crops, the value and the yield. And so that also is connected to the productive use loads. Now, also something is important. VIDA is a collaborative tool. So let's go, you go on the ground and you do your in-depth due diligence, and you can add notes and comments as well as any type of attachments such as pictures. And finally, last thing that I will show you is that VIDA also does a high-level mini-grid design and economical viability. And so here you will find what those data sets that we explored from a portfolio perspective, you can see here on a settlement level. And so you have the access to electricity data, which we had selected. So for example, we selected in our filters that we did not want light at night to be identified, right, in the settlements that we selected. And in fact, you see here that the light at night is not available. The energy demand, then you have the design, so you have the the PV size, the genset and battery sizes, and finally, the capex and financial information as well. So yeah, this is VIDA in a nutshell. We're working already with many developers that are using our tool and our software to identify sites, and we help them even with capacity building sessions, and of course we do an onboarding sessions to train them, but also capacity building on how to leverage VIDA for their specific need, because we really want them to use VIDA as much as possible.
Excellent, excellent. So that was beautiful. So it looks like this is a very comprehensive package, and then yeah, like I say, I'm sure a lot of people would have been excited. So I'm also happy because, as I said, so I've received a few more questions, and I have just one question I want to ask you before I run to some of the questions from people, because it's also good to respond to them. They're making the effort to listening to us, so it'd be good to make sure that we address their question or their concern.
Please.
So if you can maybe summarize, because you refer a little bit into mini grid developers in here. So would you mind clearly summarizing the benefit for mini grid developers? Because I wonder if there's any mini grid developer listening to us at the moment, not working with you, potentially interested in working with you. So what is that they're getting?
Absolutely. So as a user of VIDA, of course, you're getting the access to the platform, as I was saying, the capacity building, the trainings, etc. But we wanted also to make more tangible data in terms of the benefits that mini grid developers get. And so we monitored a bit some of our interactions with these mini grid developers, and we studied how, the impacts on them. And so what we got is that usually they have three main benefits. Number one is the saving of cost man hours during the site selection process, which goes down in between 25 and 50%, depending on how big the mini grid developer is, where are they operating, because we know all of the African countries are very different. Then number two is a reduction in time taken to obviously identify sites. Imagine having all of the informations literally at your fingertips.
Tips.
So yes, so there's an approximate reduction of about 65% in time, and then finally the conducting site visits. So there's a reduction of approximately 80%, because imagine you have already filtered down your sites and you're conducting site visits in maybe a tenth of the sites that you originally had, right? Because you use VIDA as your initial due diligence tool, and then you go to site only where you see an actual potential.
Mm. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. So let me jump into some question that we receive. I think I have one. Let me just show by the courageous man who wasn't afraid to show his name. So which geographical area is covered by VIDA? I think you may have responded already, but it'd be good to repeat if this is the case.
Absolutely. We cover nearly the entire globe. So we are we started in sub-Saharan Africa because this is where the need is the most. But we are covering nearly the entire globe. We obviously in emerging markets, but VIDA is also developing another tool that will mostly be used in developed markets, because as it could sound strange, but the data sets that we are delivering and providing to users, who are actually not only mini grid developers, by the way, we work with multilateral development banks, with investors and others. The data sets that they need in emerging markets, they also need in developed markets.
Mhm.
So we are developing, for now, they are two different tools, but we will merge them together very, very soon. So wherever you're operating, we are happy to help you out.
Excellent, excellent. That's great to hear. Another question, which is one that I have received: can VIDA be integrated with other project management tool or platform currently used by company in their infrastructure development processes?
That's a good question. So we are definitely integrated with tools that are being used, for example, by multilateral development banks in their tendering processes. And I would be happy to get in touch with the person who asked to better understand the tool that they're using, because there's so many out there. So we are integrated with a couple, but I would like to understand which one they are referring to. So
Excellent.
happy
No problem. No problem.
to share my email or anything, to ask, to get in contact after this.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Another question before I carry on the set of questions I had for you. How does VIDA specifically identify and assess climate risk associated with potential sites for infrastructure projects?
So how do we identify and assess the climate risks? Okay, we have a lot of data sources. So some sources are publicly available, some sources we actually buy so that they become available in the software. So it depends on the type of data source. And for climate in specifically, we are learning more and more, because climate is much more, I would say, taken into account in commercial, markets and developed markets. And so there it's much more developed. There's currently a lot of academia, a lot of literature around the scenarios, along around the different types. So scenarios, I think, are pessimistic, business as usual, and positive, around the also time frames, so 2030, 2050, 2080. So it really depends on the type of climate risk and the type of data set as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we just have a message from Marcos, who just want to say hello, hello everybody. So
Okay,
I
we're
think it's
happy to contact you.
from Ethiopia. Well, Marcos, so if you're listening to us, thank you for joining. Obviously, if you have a specific question for Nico, just make sure that you drop it. Otherwise, we're just gonna carry on with the conversation. But thank for that, Nico. Let me just go back to a few questions that I had for you, and I just want to find out from you. So if you look at the future, right, of site selection, so in the next 5 to 10 years, so how do you think, or how did you see VIDA evolving in meeting those changes? Because it's probably going to be
Mm,
some changes, you know. So
mhm,
it's becoming, like, say, more effective, safer, like I say, so more sustainable. So how would VIDA manage the change?
yeah. So actually, where I see this going, I first of all, site selection will remain key, right? Like we agree on this. Where I see it going is that developers will want softwares like us to be more and more precise. They don't have time, they don't have money. Like, let's get it let's get it done as fast as possible, as cheap as possible. So we need to become faster, we need to become more precise, we need to become cheaper. And VIDA is really moving towards that, actually. So we are definitely adding more data sets as we speak. We have a team who is currently adding more data sets to our software. So they're researching data sets, because actually there are so many data sets that are publicly available, but they are not digestible. So someone like me, who has worked in business their whole life and is not a geek in tech, um, knowledgeable in these things, I would not know how to digest that data. And so the value add of VIDA is actually to make that data digestible. And then, of course, there is paid data that not everyone can access to as, in a single maybe instance. But VIDA, given that we are accessing it on a global level, we can make it cheaper on a single maybe country or site. And then, so this is mainly, I would say, for the precision, because we're adding more data sets. And then to make it more, to optimize it, we're adding more features. So we want people to be able to do their analysis more and more on the software, because we like to be as open as possible. So we have, you can download all of the data from our software and do your Excel analysis. However, we want to facilitate that, right? We want to make sure that you can do it on the software. And so, as I showed you before, from the analysis from a portfolio's perspective, that was also a new feature that we recently added. We're also going to add more type of one-on-one comparison tools, or if you already have sites, you upload them and we do, some initial due diligence for you on that, on those sites. So I think we're moving in the right direction, if we agree that that is where the site selection is
Sure.
heading, which is, yeah, more precision and more optimization.
Excellent. I think we are moving slowly towards the end of our conversation. I know it's fast,
I
but
know.
I still have a couple of questions for you, and also some more questions that I've received. Look, that people are just waking up just right now, guys. We've been around for 30 minutes already. So I want, because we talked about the site selection here. Definitely, what you've demonstrated here, even through the demo, is that the VIDA software, is very proficient in tackling these tasks, and rather
Mhm.
rather well. So but you also mentioned at the beginning that you have also expanded so the industry where you operating, not just energy but beyond that. So I just wanted to know whether you can talk to me about some other use cases, just out of
Mhm.
interest, that Vida it's tackling.
Absolutely. So VIDA has been used, first of all, in the energy sector, and we're, as you said, we're expanding into other sectors as well. The software has been used in the health sector. So instead of those sites that you would see there on the left, you would see all of the single healthcare, all the clinics in a country. You would see the same in terms of education. So you would be able to select the education facility you want to invest in, based on different filters that you put in. We have worked also in productive use in agriculture, because, as you might remember what I showed you, one of the data sets that we have is actually related to agriculture. Then we have been used obviously in climate risk, because we have with VIDA. Actually, the cool thing I forgot to show you is that you can assess also areas and lines, and so you would be able to assess also transmission lines. So that's also something that we've worked on.
Excellent. That it looks like definitely there's a lot of use cases that the software is actually dealing with. So one question I have received, let me just show that. So is VDA suitable for company of all size? So looking at to invest into infrastructure, or is it geared towards larger enterprises for complex projects?
No, not at all. We are actually becoming more and more, we're trying to become more affordable. So, definitely, if you're a small company and would like to have 2 or 3 users to access VIDA, we would love to get in touch with you. Absolutely. I'm happy to share my contacts, or you can just find me on LinkedIn. It is where we want to move towards to. So we want to be more affordable, cost efficient, as it's one of the things that we spoke about, right? Of where we see the site selection going in between 5 and 10 years.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. So let me ask you one of the last question I have. So
Mm.
obviously, as I say, you have a bright career. So you were before in DC. So you came back into Kenya's that contrast there. So if you were to give an advice to a young professional entrepreneur looking to make an impact in tech and sustainability sector, what would it be? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking, I would say, at emerging markets, because that's where I've worked my entire life, so I can give a bit of advice there. It seems obvious, but what I see in my everyday work are two main things, really. A bit of problem solving, and not be scared of of having to solve um, problems every day, and a bit of creative thinking. So you need to think a bit outside the box, and think of ways how to solve those problems that are um, can be very challenging, because working in emerging markets is definitely not easy. But sometimes I ask myself if I would not want to work in emerging markets, and I don't think so. I don't think so. So these are my two main, I would say, takeaways of what I've seen in my humble and short career.
Okay, it's great. Let me just take one more question from Marcos and then we're going to wrap it
Yeah.
up. And Marcos is saying, okay, we are using solar installation site selection in remote area in Ethiopia in energy sector. Is it best to get pure data, or will we get VIDA software training in multiple application area? I think you responded to that, right? So maybe you want to. So I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Maybe you do. Yeah,
No, me neither. But we're happy to connect offline. I don't want to
yeah.
take more of your time, Tony. Thank you so much for having me. Maybe Marcos, we can talk offline. We have, of course, we're present in Ethiopia, so we're happy to help out there.
Yeah, and Marcos, like again, thank you for connecting. So, like Nicola said, so there's many use cases that the software is tackling. So it's more than possible that obviously, if you think that area even beyond energy, so definitely they can use that. But definitely feel free to reach out to Nicole, and I'm sure she'll be able to give you more information. So excellent. I think we've come towards the end of this interview. Like I say, it's been rather short and quick. So what I usually have to do is a kind of a tradition here. It's I usually
Right.
will always leave 1 minute, no more than that, to my guests to have a final word to convince people that they need to be working with you with Vida. So you are the company they want to be looking at and nobody else, right? So
Hmm.
you decide either you want to address your message to potential customer or you want to
Hmm.
address your message to potential investor because I'm sure a company like yours still growing and developing, you may want to talk to investors. You
Hmm.
decide who the audience is going to be, but you just have one
Pressure.
minute. Okay, I'm just
No,
gonna
of
go on
course, of course.
backstage. I'm gonna go
Okay.
on backstage, and I leave you I leave you to set the scene. Yeah, there you go.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna address my 1 minute to potential clients. We are at Vida. We are constantly looking for new challenges to solve. Really, I would say. And as of now, we have been mainly working in the energy sector, as I've said until now. So to help you out in de-risking your investment, but we are moving into other sectors as well, and we are curious to solve challenges in other sectors as well. And so we would love to hear from you. We would love to be in contact with you and help you out in tackling your and actually de-risking your infrastructure investments. I think I took less than 1 minute, but happy to have you back. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Well, Nicole, it was a pleasure for us to have you
Thank you.
here on our platform to explain what Vida is all about and giving us people to understand what it is. Like I say, there has been a tremendous, great attendance. So I could see already that people are interested. So it's just up to you to now go and engage with them further. For us, we are very happy to be collaborating with you, and then I'm sure there's going to be some other opportunities where we can. Also talk to one another. So thank you very much. I'm just going to take you on backstage.
Thank
Probably
you.
going to talk to you later on. Just the time for me to thank all the
Wow.
people watching us. Yeah. Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Nicole. Pleasure.
Bye.
Okay. So for you watching us, so how did you find it? So thank you very much for joining us in this compelling journey where we look at the intricacies of modern site selection, with Vida. So Nicole expertise has really illuminated the path for us for a more sustainable, but I also would say efficient infrastructure investment. And as we conclude, so I just want to carry forward with those insights that she's giving us on how we can transform those challenges that we had in the past, where we were looking to select sites into the opportunities that technology is giving us. Yeah. And if we do that for me, I'm sure there is a way for us to tap into multiple solutions that could help us move forward faster. So I'm Tony here, reminding you that you need to keep pushing the boundaries of innovation and also sustainability in all your professional endeavors. So thank you very much for watching us. Okay, thank you.